So the Town Hall event right now is Rando's Rapid Revenge, which by the way is probably the worst game mode in this game, and it claims to randomly select a character for you, but having played this for a few hours I highly doubt that the character selection is actually random, so I decided to test this. My idea was to carry out a chi-squared goodness of a hypothesis test, but before I did this I had to of course collect the data first. I played the game until I spawned in 35 times as a zombie and 35 times as a plant, so 70 observations in total. Both teams must be sampled equally, otherwise our expected frequencies would be biased towards one team, possibly leading to an incorrect conclusion. To calculate the expected frequencies, we need to divide the total number of observations by the number of categories, which in this case is simply 70 over 14, which is just 5. And it's funny because none of our observed frequencies are actually 5. We can use all this information to create a table of expected and observed frequencies. I have removed the character names because they won't really be relevant anymore. Now we have everything we need to start the hypothesis test, with our first step being stating the hypotheses as follows. Discrete uniform distribution just means that each outcome is equally likely. So in this case we expect the probability of each character being selected to be the same, hence why our expected frequencies are all equal. The chi-square test statistic is given by the following formula, but I don't really like it because it is kind of long to sub in value, so instead I'll use a shortcut, where n is the total number of observations. Applying this formula to our data above, we get the following calculation, giving us a value of 8. Now moving on to the critical value, we first need to determine the number of degrees of freedom, which is given by the number of cells minus the number of constraints. There are 14 cells and our only constraint is assuming that the total observed and expected frequencies agree with each other. This means that our test has 13 degrees of freedom. I will be carrying out the test at the 5% significance level just because it is most commonly used, since it balances type 1 and type 2 error quite well. We can now determine the critical value either with a calculator or with statistical tables, giving us a value of 22.362. Comparing the test statistic with the critical value, we reach the conclusion that the above data is not enough evidence to suggest that the discrete uniform distribution is not a suitable model, so we do not reject H0. Putting this into context, unfortunately our test shows that the character selection is in fact random, so I was wrong.